Hello there, everyone. Welcome to Super Cast Brothers, the Smash Brothers themed podcast where I go crazy and Jonno laughs. Also joining us today is Twilix, my brother. I'm Zantok,
Hello.
in case you couldn't figure that part out, because we got names here, but hey, maybe you're listening to the audio version of this. I don't know. I don't leave my house ever.
No, but
That's
at least
not
you
a
have a
joke,
cool
it's
backdrop.
Yeah, I got a lot of, fun little pictures and posters. I might have something new in the near future, don't know.
Man
Convention
hasn't seen the
happening
sun
here.
in days.
I might be buying some, I don't know. We'll see what they got there. I still gotta pull it up. I have something secret that I haven't told you about that I have. I've been meaning to put it up. I'm a lazy bitch, so I haven't done it yet.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
Relatable.
yeah, it's gonna be really cool when I do put it up. Probably gonna put it below the Spider-Man poster because there's nowhere else it can fit. It's a long one, and that's all I can really say for now.
Oh, nice.
You won't even get to see a good look at it with this camera view, so I don't even know why I'm care to be cryptic about it. But I care to be cryptic about it.
The suspense.
The suspense. Speaking of the suspense, goddamn Metroid, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Metroid 4 coming out in September. Holy cow.
Yeah, I mean, I can't believe we're getting Zombie Adam. What the fuck? But why like the Remember Me guys like sharing half of the body? I don't understand what that's all about. I'm not sure why we had to go into body horror in Metroid. I think we could have left that, out of the script. But I guess that's what happens when you put Americans in charge.
Well, Anthony Higgs can still use his ice beam on us anytime.
Except now it comes out of his pants.
Actually, it was a plasma cannon.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Oh, plasma. I'm glad.
I only played Other M once, and I remember that.
Most people only play Other M once.
Most people, but I know people in the Metroid Discord that have played it multiple times. And
do they hate themselves?
I worry about them.
The only other people who play it more than once are speedrunners. And I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Why would you not pick a better game?
Yeah. A powerful
they like to give themselves pain.
They like whips, I guess. And I'll put it at that. Oh, dear. So, yeah, we're talking about a Metroid character today. Can you guys guess who it is from the title? No? You can't? Then you haven't played Metroid Jed yet. What are you doing? Go.
Metroid Jed?
Yes, Metroid Jedi. It's the new Star Wars crossover.
I believe you mean Metroid Dread.
Yes, as in I'm dreading this conversation. Hi!
Well, then why'd you pick it?
I don't know. I also hate myself, as it turns out.
That's very true, yes.
I do this.
But yeah, just like any other time we're doing a Smashtopia episode or talking about any character, really, spoilers abound. We don't really keep things too quiet here because, hey, we figure if you click on a video that says Raven Beak and you haven't played the new Metroid Dread game and you still listen to us, then you probably don't care about spoilers, and if you do, you should have stopped watching.
Yeah, you shouldn't have even clicked.
Yes.
I mean, if they don't know who Raven Beak is, it's fair they could click and be like, ooh, what's this? And they're just like, oh, it's that game that I haven't gotten to play yet, but I want to? I should leave.
Well,
I get it.
Their point, they should have never clicked to begin with, regardless of whatever this episode was. But
that's true.
Hey,
don't watch our stuff. That's terrible. Instead, go watch me on Twitch. I'm an affiliate now. Give me money. I don't get money from this show.
What was it? Addle's Scream?
I don't get money from it either.
What about Addles?
Yeah, isn't that the channel?
Why would my channel be Addles Screams?
I don't know. I don't even remember what her channel name was. Let's go find that.
Her
real
channel
quick.
is Robo Aza.
Oh yeah, Robo Aza. Yeah, that's what they go by these days. Yeah, go follow them on Twitch.
Yeah, if you like VTubing stuff, Robo Aza does that. I don't. I don't really.
Yeah.
No reason. I just don't.
Yeah.
I don't have the stuff for
There you
it.
go.
That'll be my reason.
Yeah. Go follow Zantok on Twitch.
Don't follow me on Twitch. I'm not on Twitch.
You have an account, you
Okay.
just don't stream.
Yes.
That's called being on Twitch. You just don't stream.
Well, that's what I
I'm
meant
on
by not
Facebook,
being
but
on
I don't
Twitch.
post anything.
Yeah, same.
All right. So, as we do with these Smashtopia episodes, we'd like to go ahead and do our little showcases first to just talk about some things that we posted off podcast on the wiki. Funnily enough, I noticed the other day that this is our first Smashtopia episode with a guest since we started doing those. We normally have a couple other guests on Smashtopias for the first seasons we did, but we're over halfway through the season. It's our first guest for Smashtopia. What the hell?
Wow.
Should I feel honored or?
You shouldn't feel anything.
Oh.
The celebration isn't.
This isn't about you, dude.
Yeah.
It is a little bit.
A little bit, maybe. Twilix here is a Metroid fan. As you couldn't tell by the way he corrected us on Anthony Higgs. Well, you know what, Twilix? If you're such a fan,
and the
tell me, have
pronunciation
you
of
played
Metroid
Metroid Eclipse?
What's Metroid Eclipse?
Must not be a true fan. Anyways, hey, Jonno, why don't you go ahead and kick off our showcase by talking about one of the things you wanted to talk about today?
Oh, I guess you really want me to.
I would love for you to do it. If you could just make a post about it, even.
Yeah, like a wanted poster from the Old West, and Wild Gunman, perhaps, on the Nintendo Entertainment System, is an item that I came up with a couple of months ago, and it's posted on the Smashtopia wiki as part of my admittedly ludicrous idea to submit 365 submissions representing every day of the year this year on the website, which I'm currently behind on, but we'll get there.
Sometimes real life happens.
Yeah, exactly. I'm still catching up with myself.
I'm still waiting to find out what your April Fool's Day joke is. Because I posted mine. Mine was Charade from Soul Calibur, and it was beautiful.
Yeah. Kelly Jellies was Amogus, so there's that.
Yeah.
I had an April Fool's joke.
Yeah, it's called You Continue to Exist.
I told people I'm selling NFTs.
Oh god. do they have Lister's face?
I pinged everyone.
It's a slightly different face each time. Like sometimes it's a filter, sometimes I'm doing a different look. It's a thing. It was a very collaborative project.
I got several people with very gun emojis right after that, and it was great.
I think I sent you one too when you told me about it privately.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, so the wanted poster, it looks as it does in the Old West. Sepia toned print paper just appears stapled to a signpost, pretty much. And it's not like something you can grab. It just appears on a signpost and gradually fills in with the face of the most wanted fighter on the stage. At this point, when that image is fully filled out on the paper, there is a kind of gunshot kind of noise from the NES Zapper era, and it shoots at the fighter that was the most wanted and dishes out some considerable damage and knockback. Pretty much the only way to dodge this is to dodge it. You can't get rid of the signpost. The end. It's just an offbeat little thing.
When you initially sent this one to me, I was very confused.
Very
confused. I was just like, "Are you sure this is an item?" I was just like, "You don't do anything to it. It just seems more like a universal stage hazard that you can't turn off unless you go into the item settings."
Right. And even then, I mean, coming back into it, I was like, do I want to choose this? Because it's going to be a little confusing to even enunciate now. But here we are. And I think it's probably the best way to do it. So I'm just kind of leaving it be. Because if you grab the wanted poster, I'm not sure how that would work.
I mean,
You'd have to workshop it.
probably what I would have done if I was making is I would have been like, okay, I wanted a page just appears on the stage, like any other item does. You pick it up and then you throw it, and it kind of just like falls through the skate air a little bit. When it lands, then it erects a sign with the one-time poster on it, and it starts filling in the face of one of your opponents. It just can't be your face. That's how I would have gone about it.
So like the same thing, but that precursor kind of.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's
like
a good idea.
You could ignore it, but then whoever gets to it first can make sure that it ain't gonna be them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's not a bad idea. So what's yours?
So my first one, we're going to talk about a stage here. It's a stage that Twilix here knows a good bit about. It's the test chamber from Portal. Both Portal 1 and Portal 2. No real... It's more supposed to be like a homogenization of like all the test chambers are in Portal. That's actually the second Portal stage that is on the wiki. The first one was designed by Kelly Jelly, which was GLaDOS' chamber. So wow, my words here are getting all fucked up. The test chamber has a very basic layout. It kind of just looks like a very flat face, if you really want to think about it. There's a long, thick platform, kind of a Final Destination like platform, just very long and kind of boring looking. But then there's two soft platforms that are up above it, just a little bit off to the left and right, making a very bored looking face. But while this is how the layout is just like normally, as the fight goes on, we have a few hazards that are going to be happening. The first of all is just called platform realignment. So this will kind of reflect the different types of test chambers, how they can all look differently, and the fact that GLaDOS can even rearrange things as it suits her to just build new test chambers on the fly, which you see more in Portal 2 than in Portal 1. So as the match goes on, platforms can appear, they can disappear, they can move. Sometimes you'll get a new platform that kind of like just moves up and down and left and right. And sometimes a platform that used to be just stationary will suddenly start to move. Maybe it'll even start rotating. Who knows? They could even be platforms in different shapes. Some of them are going to be solid platforms, but you could have some hard ones that you can just pass through. You could have a triangle-shaped platform. You can have a cube. There's a bunch of different variety of things in there. Not even the main platform is entirely safe either. Like you may think, oh, that's going to be a constant, right? Yeah, not with GLaDOS in control. Parts of it can just vanish. You will never see the whole thing vanish, but it could be like some part of the side comes off. You could see a chunk in the middle come away. A variety of different things like that. The second hazard that we have here is called the portal gun itself. This was a necessity. I had to have this here. So the portal gun is a background element. The player cannot interact with it, but it will start out in the middle of the screen. But the portal gun, as it does in Portal, can just move around. It can start moving. Losing my words there. But it'll point that at different places and it'll shoot a portal, either blue or orange, and it will always alternate between blue and orange. When the first portal's been set, nothing really happens. It's still considered part of the regular platforms. But once the second portal has been shot, all of a sudden they are now connected, much like in Portal. So something goes through one portal, it'll come out the other one, which can cause all kinds of wacky fun when there's different platforms that are coming and going, different shapes moving. You might have instances of some momentum, right, Twilix? All of a sudden, you're falling down into a portal and you're being shot out of another one into the blast zones. And
I've got this image in my head of a bomb walking through a portal.
Yes, that can absolutely happen. You could have a bomb walking through a portal, and now it's gonna be somewhere else. It may be falling off into nowhere. Who knows? There's a lot of variety in here. The portal gun can also move. So while it starts out in the middle of the screen, it can travel around to a different point in the background. That way it can, like, maybe not be in the top left, and it can have new angles where it can shoot its portal at. That way it's not just going to be a completely stationary thing, and you can have more odds of predicting where portals will go. Music is pretty much just being pulled from Portal 1 and Portal 2. There's more Portal 2 music than Portal 1 because Portal 1 does not have a lot of music that really fits for Smash. And I could look up remixes, but I tend to avoid that just when I'm making stages. But I thought it'd be a fun stage. It's a good companion cube to Kelly's GLaDOS' chamber. But when they posted that one, I was just like, oh, sweet. My 84 Portal stage is still valid and hasn't been taken yet. Hell yeah, test chamber, let's go.
Very nice.
It's also considered, last note, it's as far as the size is concerned, I have it labeled as a very large. stage. So there's a lot of room for a lot of crazy platform shit to have going on.
Right. Lots of room to play and have bombs off their portals. Very nice. Maybe even Anthony Higgs one day. What
do you remember him?
I do.
Who?
And I even remember his plasma cannon.
What does this plasma cannon shoot?
A strong bluish green ray of plasma.
Twilix is the
That's what they said anyway. Yeah.
Okay, I have to admit, I do not remember.
Yes, I read it on this Metroid wiki like 2 minutes ago, so it must be true.
Nice. Nice.
You read it on the internet, therefore it must be true.
That's what Abraham Lincoln said.
Most things happen. Yep. Hell, that's what my gnome said. Speaking of gnomes, my next feature is Big Boo's Hunt.
Not sure what that's to do with
a stage
gnomes,
from Super Mario 64.
That's right.
So it's kind of like Nintendo's little testing ground for a horror style stage and an E for Everyone game with Super Mario 64, predating Luigi's Mansion. I mean,
it's
like
absolutely inspiration for Luigi's Mansion, 100%.
Yeah. The mansion that represents Big Boo's Haunt looks so much like a prototype Luigi's Mansion to do, looking back on it. This was one that you, listener, had recommended that I do as part of your ongoing request series for my Smashtopia project. So this was one I was happy to do it. It was a fun idea because you think of Super Mario 64, there's a lot of different courses that you can pull from.
Every single course could be made into a good stage. I have made a few. I think Big Boo's Haunt is the first one from 64 you've made. And it's one of the ones other ones I hadn't made yet that I was most looking forward to having seen be made. So,
absolutely. And I think it out of a game full of iconic courses, it's among the most iconic of those courses.
Yeah.
So it was a lot of fun to workshop because there's different elements that you could pull in. You can make it a mansion style stage like Luigi's Mansion is laid out in Smash Brothers, easily, probably quadrant with the library, the carousel, and a few other areas. But what I had done is just taken the most memorable area in the map, which is the carousel, which looking back, I mean, my childhood memories of Big Boo's Haunt's carousel are so different from how it actually is.
Because you're more terrifying back then?
Circus. Yeah, no, I was imagining like a circus carousel. You actually walk in there, it's just this interior rolling brown mass
that floor.
Boo's populated. Yeah, so it's a little less intuitive. But we made something of it. So what I did was I made the library. There's room for interpretation here. Made the library kind of the background on the stage. Have books flying in from the background and the Boo portraits from the carousel in the back as well. And the Mad Piano makes an appearance as well. From the back.
Piano.
Our good old pal. Yeah. So the general idea is you're fighting on the carousel. The carousel moves one way or the other, dependent on a few factors here. And there's also there's 3 platforms that are above that you can fight on, and they can move up, down, left, or right, depending on kind of like the ways the Boos on the stage are moving them around. And Big Boo himself appears. If all of the Boo portraits in the background line up, Big Boo appears, rams into you, doesn't cause too much knockback, but it causes some serious status effects and racked up damage racking up. So, and you can defeat Big Boo like you can in the game. You basically beat on him enough from his tail end and like Ridley in Smash Brothers 4 or any number of stage bosses in Ultimate. You gain a extra KO stock by defeating him. So fun stage. And then there's a number of remixes from Super Mario 64 and Super Mario World and Luigi's Mansion, basically taken from the ghost houses and the Boo themed original soundtrack listings. So it's a very atmospheric stage and a lot of fun. So That was a good one to do.
Yeah, I was pretty interested to see what you would do with it. I had actually expected the Mad Piano to make an appearance, and what it did, and I was a little bit surprised, but also kind of glad because fuck that thing.
It's an appearance.
It what?
Yeah, it makes an appearance.
But not on the stage as a hazard though.
No, it does. It'll come into the foreground.
You didn't mention that.
Okay. Either which way.
Okay. Wow. Whatever then.
With 1,045 pages on Smashtopia, it's kind of easy to get tripped up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot. There's been a couple times where I started working on something and I realized, wait, fuck.
You already did it.
I did this. And then I go back and it's like, it's the exact same idea. Wow. Okay. Like, well, that was some time wasted. Shit. If I did it differently, I could have at least slapped a new face on it. Damn it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, well.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
It's usually just for like smaller stuff like spirit. Like there's a spirit battle that I did that too. I was like, shit.
Yeah, or me with your banana juice.
Yeah, there's been a couple times where just like we talk about making things. Just like, oh, I think I'm gonna do this, and it's like that's already on the wiki, sir. It's like, oh, yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
I mean, you can make a new version of it if you want to. Don't know why.
No, there's still a world of possibility out there to cover. So why retread our tracks?
Why retread our tracks? Metal Slug? Sonya the Third? No. It's Sly Cooper! What does that have to do with tanks? Nothing. But he's the character I'm going to talk about. So I made a movie for Sly Cooper back in 2018. So this is an older one for me. This is one of the first ones that I put out on the wiki. But he's a character that myself and Twilix both enjoy a lot. We love the Sly Cooper games. They're a lot of fun. I keep trying to get him to record them for our Let's Play channel. But, you know, sometimes...
Yeah.
Motivation is a fun little word. It's also evil. But,
also a little sidetrack. You mentioned how Sly Cooper and tanks don't have anything in common, right?
Correct.
Wrong, sir!
Sly Cooper is not a tank! He's a raccoon!
In Sly Cooper 2, there is a level with tanks that you can crawl underneath.
Listen, this is not World of Tanks. We do not have a sponsorship deal with them. Okay? So Sly Cooper has nothing to do with tanks. You know who does have something to do with tanks, though? Bill Overbeck.
Who?
Left 4 Dead.
Oh. Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Fucking God. Okay, anyway.
I didn't know that's his last name.
The Pillsbury Doughboy. Or is that only Canadian?
That's only Canada, according to Eric.
Okay.
So, first at the top of all, here was Sly Cooper. I gave him the home stage of the Cooper Vault, which is located in the third Sly Cooper game. I have not made it into a stage yet, even after all these years, because I don't fully know what I would do with it. It was just what made the most sense to me for a stage, and I didn't want to just call a stage France. Maybe someday, Twilix, you can help me out and figure out what the Cooper Vault will look like. But for now, we're just going to talk about Sly here. So for his interesting animation, I made it so that, there's just like a cloud of smoke from like a smoke grenade type of deal that's on the stage, and it just kind of quickly disperses before it reveals that Sly Cooper was hiding behind it all along. His Kirby hat is very simple. It's Sly Cooper's trademark hat. Up top, Sly Cooper is going to scramble to the top of his cane and then pull out his binocular, which is really just a fancy binoculars, and he's going to stay perched on it for a quick second, watching the fight from afar. Down top, he's going to lean against his cage while looking around, amused, and he'll smirk, saying, "Thief, I haven't stolen anything yet." And then for his side taunt, Sly's going to smirk around as he points his cane slightly ahead and says, "Better check your pockets, pal," and then with a wink. As for his victory poses, a couple fun ones here. There's going to be a cardboard cutout of Sly waving to the camera as Sly just casually walks up to it from off screen, leans against it, and then just smirks at the camera. For the second victory pose I had, that Sly Cooper is going to drop off a calling card from above, which is just going to have an image of his mask before he runs off and says, "Looks like I just stole the win." And then for his last victory pose, Sly will be standing confidently as he spins his cane from above, and then sometimes you look at things just like, why the hell did I write this weird? Sly's going to stand confidently as his cane spins down from above, and then he'll catch it seamlessly. Sly will then follow up with a twirl and pose saying, "Like stealing candy from a baby," which some of these characters are. That last part's not part of the quote. It ends at their baby. Just to clarify. As for his attacks, though, his standard special is pretty interesting. It's called Pickpocket. This is one of the main things that Sly will do, mainly in the second and third game, where you can approach guards from behind and literally pick their pockets with your cane to get some money and treasures to sell. So Sly is going to reach forward slightly with his cane. If there's an item on the stage in the cane's path, he's going to just latch onto with the cane, and he's going to bring it back to him, giving him a little bit of range for picking up items. Which, for most characters, they just have to be right on top of the item on the ground. But Sly, you don't have to do that. That said, it doesn't work on every item. Things like the Smash Ball and Fake Smash Ball, it's not going to work on. The Sandbag. These more powerful items, Dragoon Pieces. What's the cannon one called from Kid Icarus? Daybreak. It's not going to work on the Daybreak pieces either. That said, it can also steal items that opponents are holding. So if somebody is holding onto the screw attack badge or a beam sword, he can just steal it away from them while they're holding onto it. But it won't be able to steal things that grant instant buff effects to opponents, like a super mushroom or super spicy curry. If you're already breathing fire, you kind of can't steal a curry out of your stomach. That's not how physics work, dude. Let's see here. Is there anything else I had? Oh yeah, you can even do this at items that have been thrown at you. So if somebody's trying to throw a beam sword or a bomb at you, use this move. All of a sudden, now you're holding the bomb and you can throw it back. Of course,
I like that.
Characters can do that with bombs anyways. Any character can do that. They grab it with the right timing. But this cane move will let you do that a little bit sooner, and you can even do it with other things that aren't just like strictly throwable items.
Right.
That said, unlike Villager's Pocket, you can't take things like Toon Link's arrows, things that are like part of a character's actual moveset. That won't work. You can't steal those. You can't steal like Mario's fireballs either, or anything that just really just comes
Link's
from a character.
bombs.
Exactly, Link's bombs. For his side special, I have Knockout Dive. So Sly Cooper will take a running dive to the side with his cane spinning out in front of him. This move will, of course, damage enemies and knock them away. There's a little bit of similarity there with how Pit's side special in Brawl used to work, where he's spinning his blades really fast and moving forward. But this time, like, he's actually doing like a diving attack with the canes moving ahead. If you're in the air and then you use this move, instead of trying to use it again, wait. Oh no, I see what I'm writing here. If you've used this move and you're in the air, so you were in the air to use this move once, and you're trying to use it again, instead of performing knockout dive a second time, instead Sly's going to pull his paraglider and he's just going to start gliding forwards. The distance that Sly leaps after with the initial attack and the distance he can travel with the paraglider make this one of the best horizontal recovery moves in the game. You can get a hell of a good distance. Reverse temple jumps, anyone? Sly's going to be good at those. For his up special, we have Ninja Spire Jump. So this move is going to do no damage or knockback of any kind. That's not what it's for. But it is great as a recovery move. You can even angle a little bit with the control sticks as Sly just jumps straight up into the air using his Ninja Spire technique. He's trying to land on top of something as deftly and stealthily as he possibly can. Damage is not the idea here. For our down special, the Sly Cooper games let you get a lot. The other things I've mentioned so far, the Knockout Dive and the Ninja Spire Jump, these are techniques that Sly can learn that his family has come up with over their many, many years of being a thieving family in the book called The Thievius Raccoonus. But here we have something that's a gadget that you get, and I think it's Sly Cooper too, because you have your tech friend. He makes some inventions. So our down special is the alarm clock. Sly Cooper's going to take out a small alarm clock, and he's just going to throw it for the short distance. If it hits somebody on impact, it's going to immediately break and do extremely minor electric damage. However, if the alarm clock instead lands harmlessly on a platform, it will let out a very annoying ringing sound. This ringing will instantly wake up any character that is next to it who might have been asleep. So, you might think, oh, we just helped somebody else sleeping. Why would I want to do that? Well, it may help them with that, but if anyone stays next to the alarm clock for too long, they will become stunned because it's just that damaging to their eardrums, and they have to just hold their hands over their ears to try and get rid of the sound. That's going to leave them vulnerable to being attacked. After a short time, the alarm clock will explode regardless, where it will still again do that minor electrical damage, but it can still hurt anybody that was right there because, hey, might as well have something with that. So, it's pretty much just like a stunning move, but at range, kind of, sort of. Just don't get near the alarm clocks. Don't let them put you in a corner. Our final smash is Silent Obliteration. A dark smoky energy. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. A dark smoky energy is going to manifest itself around Sly Cooper's cane as he just darts forward in a straight line. Whether that means he's on the ground or in the air doesn't matter. If Sly encounters an opposing player as he runs forward, he's now going to start spinning around them as this dark cyclone of energy wraps around them, and Sly is repeatedly hitting them with his cane again and again, just essentially drain the stamina out of their body. That said, this final smash is one of the very weaker ones in terms of damage, only dealing probably somewhere around a 20 to 30% range, so it's not that strong in that way. But this is one of those that is capable of instantly KOing an opponent if they have 100% damage or more at the end of the attack. Most final smashes that can do that are all cinematics. So that's why I made this one, even though it can do this, be weaker in terms of damage. At least I'm pretty sure that's weak in terms of damage. I don't remember offhand the damage of every final smash in the game. Sue me. Even if they aren't instantly KO'd, though, they'll still be knocked away once the attack is finished. So, standard stuff there. Our extra skill is another one of the gadgets that Sly can get throughout the games, called Hat Mine. So Sly's going to take off his hat, and he's just going to throw it a short distance, and then it'll just kind of land on the ground in front of him, and then it's going to start to beep with a little red light. And that's not very good. Things that beep with red lights tend to be bad. I mean, I did call this a hat mine after all. So, when this hat mine is on the ground, it just kind of stays there until you press the extra skill input again, at which point Sly is going to tap his cane to the ground, and the hat's going to explode. Don't be near the hat when it explodes. You can explode it pretty much immediately after you set it out. There's no real, there's no real waiting time. You can have to just toss it off the edge of a platform, and it'll just start slowly drifting down. You can explode it just whenever you want. So if somebody's trying to recover, this is a great anti-recovery move when they're trying to recover up to the stage. To really fuck up their day like that. And when Sly does this, he's literally taking off his hat. So until the hat mine is destroyed, he will not be wearing a hat for the next part of the match, which could look pretty funky, depending on especially depending on whatever alternate costume you're wearing, because each alternate costume I gave Sly is one of the different disguises that he wears in the games. From the disguise he wears in Venice, where he's trying to get into an opera house, his combat pilot disguise, photographer, pirate, jailbird, Sabretooth? Yeah, it happened. He had an archer disguise, an Arabian disguise, and even a tuxedo suit from the very beginning of Sly 4, which is really less of a disguise, but, it's still Sly in a tuxedo. That one doesn't really have him wearing a special hat, so he just wears his hat for that one. But all the other ones, he has, something unique on his head. Well, maybe not the Venice disguise, but the Venice disguise, he's wearing an opera mask, so guess he wouldn't be wearing the opera mask. As far as unique traits are concerned, I gave him the ability to crawl across the stage, as well as wall jumping and wall clinging. And then I even invented something new called wall climbing, which would allow Sly to jump up slightly along the wall's side, possibly getting him up into a platform depending on where he's at. So he just wall clings to the side, and he's just I can jump up from here. He's just able to get up there without having to pull back off of it. It makes sense for him. He's a thief. He climbs around, as you do.
Yeah, and he's a hedgehog, too.
He is not a hedgehog. He is not a hedgehog. He is a raccoon, sir. He is a raccoon.
That didn't make a movie about him?
There was supposed to be.
Oh, okay.
And it got canceled.
Okay. What the hell?
Moment of silence.
Yeah, I'm disappointed, honestly. Sly could have had really good stuff. Why do I have emails saying Sly Cooper has been edited? Jonno, what the hell did you do?
Thing. Cool character.
What the fuck did you do? I'm assuming you immediately edited it back. Yeah, huh? Yeah, that's what I thought. You did. You removed something and then you immediately added it back. What the fuck did you do?
I like the idea of having Sly Cooper be
You
playable.
changed his Santa special to say Sly Cooper eats pizza. And you misspelled pizza.
How bad did you misspell it?
Pizaa. Why?
Jonno, we're not friends anymore.
We never were.
Boy.
Alright, well, that's been the vandalism part of the show. So you took my amazing work and you decided to make it be stupid.
I'm innocent of this.
Well, I guess we should now go to the part of the show where we take somebody else's innocent work and we make it utterly stupid. As we make a moveset for the antagonist of Metroid Dread. The one.
Oh boy.
The only. Ravenbeak.
Yeah. Whoa, who's that?
Well, why don't you tell us, Twilix, as our resident Metroid fanatic, who's Ravenbeak?
Well, with the spotlight on me for now, Ravenbeak is, as said, the antagonist of Metroid Dread. You find him pretty early on in the first cutscene as Samus descends down an elevator to a planet supposedly infested with X-Parasites. If you don't know what X-Parasites are, play Metroid Fusion, you'll get the idea. And, he is a Chozo, a member of the same race that raised Samus from being a kid. Except he's kind of a dick.
That's one way of putting it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So his whole goal is, by the end of Metroid Fusion, there are no Metroids left in the galaxy. He's kind of mad about that, because he wanted to breed an army of them. So,
Seems like a terrible idea.
his plan is, okay, so, the only thing in this entire galaxy with Metroid DNA is Samus. I got a plan. I'm gonna lure her here. I'm going to knock her unconscious or something. And then I'm going to take that Metroid DNA and make clones.
I love how you're like, I've got a plan. I'm going to knock her unconscious or something. It's like, great plan. Amazing work. You are just a pure literary genius, sir. No wonder you have such a high position in your species or what's left of it.
So that's the gist of his plan, is to just take Samus's Metroid DNA and just make new Metroids. Because that's a wonderful idea that no one else has tried before, right?
To be fair,
Right?
no one else has tried it before. Nobody's tried to take the Metroid DNA out of Samus.
And that's a bad idea.
It's a terrible idea. The first Metroid he creates is going to kill him. Well, that's not strictly speakingly true, because there's something about Chozo's DNA and being able to control Metroids or calm them or something.
That's actually specific to a certain tribe of Chozo, the Toha, I think.
Which is not what Ravenbeak is. He's a Mockin.
Correct.
And he be mocking his species ethics. Hey!
Yeah.
Good old Ravenbeak. Good old Ravenbeak.
What a guy.
So, when Metroid Dread released, Jonno and I were basically just both like, okay, so this Ravenbeak guy, we gotta make a moveset for him, right? Yeah, we gotta fucking do this. Because, finally, Metroid has a new character that we can make into a character. We haven't gotten to do this since ever, really. It's like, people say, like, oh, but what about Sylux? He's gonna be in Metroid Prime 4.
We don't know enough about Sylux.
Show me Metroid Prime 4. Show me Sylux in Metroid Prime 4. Oh, the game's not out yet? It got delayed a lot? Oh, I'm sorry.
We've seen
Sylux is not on the table yet.
we've seen his signature weapon, and we've seen his equivalent to Morph Ball, and that is it so far.
Yeah, so we have literally 2 things that we can pull from to make the character unless we want to invent everything about him. It's like, ooh, yay, yeah. Solix and any of the other hunters just do not excite us. Maybe something like the only hunter I can think of that we could build off of is Rundus. Anybody else, I don't see it. Now,
Yeah, he's in Prime 3.
And dead! That said, so Ravenbeak. Spoilers! We warned you in the beginning. We warned you.
Yeah, Samus kills him.
Yeah. So, I'm open to
Really?
the Silex, but we gotta see more with the character. He's got to appear in Prime 4 or something before I'm gonna take him seriously. There's just nothing there to build off of. But, so we wanted to do Ravenbeak. We thought he'd be a really cool one to do. And originally, he was going to be part of next season. But we decided to, really about a month ago, I think it was, we were just like, you know what? Screw it. Let's do Ravenbeak now. And we just moved the character that we had planned for this season into the next season. Sometimes things happen like that. We'd like to try and plan a season ahead, but we give ourselves room to mess with things a little if needed.
Absolutely.
So, now that we've gone through all of that, we've had our intro, we've had our showcase, we've had our character intro. Let's enter with the entrance animation. Jonno, what do you got?
Oh, it's me. I am that person.
Yes.
Ravenbeak. Speaking to that position where you fight this character and proceed to kill him. Ravenbeak is seen sitting on throne in that opening animation. So Ravenbeak is seen sitting on his throne here. And just like in the battle, he leaps onto the stage and the throne, kind of just vanishes. The end.
Poofs into non-existence.
Yep.
Okay. For me, I decided to kind of there's a couple places where I decided to try and mimic Samus in a way. And one of those is with this entrance animation where with Samus, she's walking out of little save point place, whatever you want to call that, little save thing. But for Ravenbeak, I have him walking out of an Emmy zone door, that black and white, odd looking, movable cube door. I don't really know how to describe how it looks, but you know what door I'm talking about. So there'll be one of those doors will be just on the stage, and Ravenbeak's just going to walk out through as the door just closes down from above.
Right.
Twilix, what do you have?
So, Phase 2 of his boss fight. He sprouts wings. And my idea was he'd just fly in on those and then just retract them into his armor where they came from.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. Yeah.
We have 3 very different entrance animations here.
Yeah, we do.
We got to pick one.
Oh, buddy.
I will give Jonno credit. I actually thought of your idea as well with him getting up from the throne, but I decided, how about wings though?
I had also had the throne, but I thought, how about mimicking Samus though? I think the throne is also a pretty common idea for a Ravenbeak.
Oh yeah, because it's the canon answer.
I mean,
yeah.
It's how that boss fight starts out, so it makes sense.
Felix, how do you feel about Zantok's entrance animation?
Where he walks through an Emmy door?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can definitely see it being the thing.
I mean, it's not like they're Emmy exclusives because Samus goes through them.
Oh, yeah.
Right. And then there's Twilix's with flying in on stage. I mean, yes.
Yeah.
The character has wings and he's taking advantage of them.
I thought you were going to go with saying that he starts out on the stage and he just rips his wings off. That's where I thought you were going to go with that.
No. They sprout out of his armor, so there's reason to believe they can just retract them as well.
Sure.
He only just rips that one wing off just to look just to prove a point.
Because
The other
Samus
one got
blew up
blasted
the
off.
other one, yeah.
Yeah.
He didn't want to be like Sephiroth.
He's giving Sephiroth the one up.
It's like, fuck you, bitch. I don't even need one wing. Call yourself the one-winged angel? More like the one-winged trash.
There you go.
Oh,
One-winged mama's boy.
hey.
That's technically true, yes.
Yes. So with these interesting animations, I don't mind throwing mine out. I like the idea of it, just walking out the enemy door and being a parallel to Samus's, but I don't mind throwing it out in favor of either of yours.
Sure. I was going to say the same about mine, but then Twilix didn't say the same thing about his, so I'm not going to say that about mine yet.
Well, I don't think Twilix said he would throw his out.
I did not know.
Yeah, I don't know where you got that from.
Yeah,
I like the idea of him flying in.
Me too.
Well, if we all like it, why don't we just go with it?
Yeah.
I don't know. All right.
Okay, I don't know why there was so much weird indecision there, but okay.
Yeah.
All right, so next up, let's talk Kirby hat. So I imagine we typically come across the same thing here. For mine, I've got him having the mask for Ravenbeak's mask. It's actually going to be like on his face, kind of like how he'll have Meta Knight's mask on his face. But in addition to that, the little helmet that Ravenbeak wears is also going to be on top of Kirby's head. So he's got like the whole Ravenbeak mask and helmet thing going on.
I had literally the same thing. So
Yeah. It's kind of hard to screw up a Kirby hat.
Oh boy, you say that, but it's happened.
I say it's hard, not impossible.
It's not hard for Jonno.
Oh.
What did Ravenbeak say to Kirby when Kirby took his abilities?
Do you think Kirby has like a little bit of peach fuzz around his body, or is he just pure skin?
What?
I don't know.
He's just
I was just gonna say stop
a skin
mocking
ball.
me, but
I
do
do
this
not
question
like that.
This question, I saw this come up in a Discord that I'm in earlier today. I was just like, oh dear God, what the fuck?
I don't know. I don't know. If
As
Kirby was a
cursed
little
as
hairy,
the Kirby with the realistic feet picture. It's like, God.
I'd like to take him out for a tan. Yeah, some bromeopathy.
I don't know. I think it's going to get all leathery. Anyways, we've done that part. So let's go ahead and talk taunts next. So I'll go ahead and start with these this time around. My first taunt is going to have Ravenbeak will spread out his arms wide as if gesturing both towards his army, but also towards his foes, saying, come at me. He doesn't actually say it, it's just like, the whole imagery of spreading out arms like, come on. What about you, Donna?
Well, I guess I'll start with that one because I had the same one of the, pretty much nearly the same thing.
I mean, it's pulled from one of the pieces of artwork where he addresses his army. So.
Yeah, precisely. So he's Ravenbeak lifts both arms into the air, and I just added in speaking something menacing, and it's in his native tongue, so hell if I know what it is.
All right.
That's that.
Twilix, what's your first taunt?
Well, there is this thing he does in the first phase of his fight where he just sort of stands there and just kind of waves you over, just waits for you.
Mm-hmm.
And you can rush up to him and try to counter him, and he'll counter right back. If you don't do anything, he'll just stand there.
Okay. That'd work.
So he basically do that.
The whole, come on gesture that I think Captain Falcon does?
And just stand there with arms crossed.
All right. For my second one, this one's a little weird. I'm going a little bit Shakespeare here with this. So, John, do you know Hamlet?
Yeah.
I don't know Hamlet. Do you know the scene that where just you hold the skull and you say to be or not to be? You know that scene?
Yeah.
Okay, so imagine Ravenbeak doing that with the dismantled head of an Emmy. So instead of a skull, bear with me here. Instead of a skull, we've got the dismantled head of an Emmy. He doesn't say anything. There's no Shakespearean line or anything like that. It's just he holds it here and he just looks at it, kind of being a whole little bit of, you see what happens if you fuck with me? This is what happens if you fuck with me. I rip off your head and I show it
He
to
has
people.
canonically
Oh my
beat the
God.
tar out of an Emmy.
It works.
Yeah.
That's my second
Oh
taunt.
my god. Oh my god. You can go full hammer with this and bring in a Chozo Ghost somewhere. Okay. That's crazy. That's funny. Because my second taunt is
I considered it being
Raven
a Chozo skull, honestly.
could have been. Ravenbeak beckons his opponent forward with a come hither motion of his hand and crosses his arms.
That sounds really
so the
familiar.
one I did.
Sounds really
Yeah.
fucking familiar.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it?
All right, Twilix, what's your second taunt?
So, I didn't nail down exactly what pose he would get in for this,
Mm-hmm.
but there is something he says twice throughout the game that, in like Chozo language, it's Hadar Sen Omen, if I pronounced it correctly, which translates into power is everything, which is kind of his thing.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So
Well,
I've got
we
that.
have an actual Chozo here today to come in with the pronunciation, guys.
Squawk, 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 squawk. Squawk, squawk, squawk,
We
squawk.
can't go in quiet robe, he's kind of dead.
Even if
Yeah.
we could, he's
Oh.
quiet.
Ha!
So that I actually have that same quote, but I have it on one of the victory poses. So we'll see what happens there. For my third taunt, though, so I'm gonna have Rigby kind of like he'll while facing towards the fighters, he's gonna lean forward a little bit with his head, and then kind of like do that whole bird head tilting thing that they'll do. That basic animation that they do. Animation. Birds. I know what I mean. Anyways, an animation based on like how birds will tilt their heads, but then in the Chozo language, however this translates out to, he'll just say the word pathetic.
That's Hohohono.
Yes.
Yeah.
Your third taunt.
Or Anthony Higgs, I think is how you pronounce that. Again, just taken from the game. We mentioned this earlier, actually, where Ravenbeak controls his right ring and then just kind of looks at it before ripping it off and fight and commencing to fight. There you go.
I consider that for a victory animation.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Didn't do it, but I considered it. Twilix, what is your third taunt?
Well, speaking of wigs, he sprouts both of them and just takes a stance with them spread out.
Okay. A
Okay.
power stance. I got you.
Yeah, that.
Yes.
I think Ridley had ones where he also kind of bants his wings out a little bit. All right, so before we go ahead and select our taunts, we're going to go over our victory poses first because, sometimes things get moved around. So for my first victory pose here, you're going to see a purple X-Parasite. It's kind of drifting around Ravenbeak's legs, kind of close to the ground. And then Ravenbeak takes notice of this, and he just takes one of his feet, and he just raises it up and slams the X-Parasite between his talons. Just squashes it out of existence. Because fuck that X-Parasite in particular.
Yeah, because in the game, he gets infected by one.
Mm-hmm. And that's why
It turns into this horrible monstrosity.
That's why I asked you a couple days ago, what color is the X-Parasite that infects Ravenbeak?
Yep. Purple.
Exactly. Jonno, what was your first victory pose?
Wow, he gets infected by an X-Parasite? X-Parasites are still around? Wow.
Yeah, shocker.
Yeah. So Ravenbeak holds the camera in place with one of his talons, and it's almost like he's taking a selfie. Then, oh my God. Yeah, he's but then he begins to charge his arm cannon directly in the face of this camera, and so it's just a menacing. Yeah, kind of like that. That's
okay.
it.
All
He's
right.
just standing there menacingly.
What's your first victory pose, Twilix?
Well, he's facing the camera with his hand held up with a little Metroid hovering over his hand.
Oh, okay.
Okay. All right.
Look
Okay.
at this face.
So for my second victory pose, Ravenbeak is really just standing there, arms crossed, kind of looking off to the side. That whole I'm trying to be badass pose that characters like to do.
Mm-hmm.
And as this, also as is typical, The cloak is fluttering in the wind. He's doing that like that stereotypical "I'm a badass. See how badass I am" pose.
Yeah, he's like
I
Strider.
feel like he would absolutely do that.
Right. It's the
All right.
hubris of it all.
Yes. What's yours?
It's funny because I think that this is one of Twilix's taunts. Ravenbeak unfurls both wings, showing them off in a power pose with both arms outstretched.
Nice. All right, we're starting to have some crossover here. Twilix, what you got for your second?
He just crashes into the ground. Well, not so much crashes, but just
Land. So like a superhero.
lands.
type
Yes.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that kind of thing. With his wings out, and then stands similar to the taunt I mentioned before with the wings.
Okay.
Oh, it's stance.
Nice.
Gotcha.
Nice.
So for my third one, so Ravenbeak's standing there, and he's going to grab onto his cape, and he's just going to throw it off to the side, and then he's going to point his arm cannon towards the screen. Eyes will flash red as he'll say in the chosen language, "Power is everything."
Oh yes.
I'm also after you mentioned Twilix about his wings and how he'll throw one away. I'm also open to change this and be like, instead of throwing his cape off, he rips one of his wings off, and that's what he throws instead of the cape. It's like one of my wings got damaged in the sight, so fuck it, I'll get rid of the other one, and I'm still a powerful badass.
Mm-hmm.
John.
Right. Okay, this one is a little more dynamic. An Emmy is skulking behind Ravenbeak, who turns around and quickly disposes of it, throwing its head towards the ground. And which Emmy it is, it can swap out its color, kind of being reflective of the other Emmys in the game. The end.
All right, Twilix.
Okay, so in Metroid Dread, there are these things called Aeon abilities, and one of them is called Flash Shift, which is sort of like a teleport type thing.
Mm-hmm.
So that's his victory animation. Is he flash shifts from the side of the screen, stares toward the camera, and holds his arm cannon upward. So, in opposed similar to some of Samus's artwork for recent games.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Cool.
So we now have 9 taunts and 9 victor poses. We got to narrow this shit down to 3 of each. Dear God. As always, we start off by seeing if anybody has any strong particular leads on anything, things that they really want to have in here. Me personally, I want that dismantled Emmy head. I want that so goddamn bad. But what do you guys think?
Well, let me gather my thoughts and attempt to remember all 18 of these things. Okay, that's not going to happen. So, yeah, your head thing, that I'll give it to you. That's the one thing out of like literally everything that doesn't really have a full canonical basis and is hilarious.
Hey,
so
Sakurai does that shit all the goddamn time.
Yeah.
Is it canonical for Palutena to pole dance? No. Does she do it in Smash? Yes.
Oh.
Question mark?
Didn't happen in your copy of the game? Okay.
No.
Okay. Well, yeah, I'm a fan of that one. I could see that being a lock fairly easily. There's also a lot of crossover. Like Twilix and I had a taunt and a victory pose that crossed over with each other.
Right.
And Twilix and I had a couple of taunts too that crossed over with each other, basically. So
and then Twilix and I both had power as everything being used.
Mm-hmm. I think one we can probably throw out if we're using the Emmy head in a taunt is my Emmy victory pose. So at least there's that.
Probably, yeah.
I think there's pretty much just room for one of those.
I think we can also have just one of the 3 power poses.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. What was your power pose again, Zantok?
I didn't have a power pose.
Oh,
one of you had it twice. I think it was Twilix had it twice. That's both a taunt and a victory pose.
Mm-hmm. Well,
which, to be fair, Smash does that sometimes. So.
Yeah. If we had to pick one space for that pose to be in, I think that we can probably say that one of those is going to get chosen. It's just do we want it as a taunt or a victory pose? I think is the first thing we need to just hash out.
I think it honestly suits a victory pose.
That's fair.
Okay.
I think I would agree with that.
I agree. And what do you think? What do you think? The one where he's falling in and then performing that pose is probably the stronger one. Okay, well, there you go. There
Makes
you go.
sense to me.
I would agree with that.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And rolling back to victory poses, we have one locked then. I think we can also kind of synthesize this. So you had the power is everything thing.
Mm-hmm.
Do we also want to consider the arm cannon selfie in there? Because both of you guys had the arm cannon being charged as well in your power is everything victory poses.
To be clear, my arcana is not charged. It's just being pointed towards the screen.
And mine's being pointed straight up, not charged either.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, mine was just like he either throws his cape off or rips the wing off, whichever one we would want to go with. And then just like then it's arm cannon at the screen. It's like I'm still good enough to fuck up your day.
Right. And then Twilix, yours was him flash shifting in and then pointing his arm cannon up. Okay, so we'll saying that, if I recall. Okay. Shit. that didn't really help differentiate. I mean, kind of divvy up how we're going to cut
I think
these.
with my victory poses, my weakest one. It's the very generic, arms crossed, cape fluttering the wind. I think that one we can easily toss out. Like that. That's clearly the weak one in my group.
Yeah,
I concur. I mean, it works. It's nice. It's just that of them, it's the one that can most easily be given. It could be given to Greninja. It could be given to
Exactly.
So yeah. I do quite like the arm cannon charge that I did as a victory pose. I think that between all of them, that might be the most interesting thing that I've come up with.
Give us the details on that one again.
Oh, I like my dynamic camera victory poses.
Oh, the
so he's grabbing
one
onto,
you mean? Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. I feel like that might be the strongest one of mine because the other one is actually we've already cut my other two victory poses, so yeah, that is my strongest one.
Oh shit. Trillix, what were your other ones again? We have your power pose. We have your one with the flash shift. What was your third one?
The Metroid.
Right, the Metroid. Right. Okay. Okay, so in the power pose is the one that we currently have fast tracked.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, we have a Metroid appearing above his shoulder or his arm cannon? I think it was the arm cannon. Hand, okay. Then we have the purple X-Parasite being stomped. We have him throwing out the cape or wing, and then Jonno's selfie. We need to pick two of those four. Right.
I think that if we choose the Metroid one or the X-Parasite one of those would probably be enough because they're both kind of celebrating a hypothetical victory for him.
Fair enough. Speaking
canon to the story. So it's kind of which of those two.
The thing I really like with the X-Parasite one is it's Raven Beak essentially getting his revenge on the same X-Parasite that infects him and turns him into a monstrosity in Dread. I like the I can't think of the word here, but I like the justice in that for Raven Beak.
Poetic justice?
That'll work.
Calling out to Tupac, yep. Yeah, I like yours, Twilix, with the Metro because it shows kind of the full breadth of Raven Beak's plan coming to light. Although I do like the urgency, the immediance of blisters, where there's this thing that happens that's terrible to Raven Beak in the game, and this is like an alternate path that is taken where that just stops. Like so,
kind of like how Corrin's Smash canon is that instead of joining Hoshido or Nor, he's like, fuck yeah, I'm gonna go join Smash instead. It's like, what the fuck?
Right. So personally, if we were choosing between those two, I'd probably say the X-Parasite. Just for that reason. Both are good choices.
Fair
yeah,
enough.
I'm with that.
Okay. So then the remaining three we had to choose from are... Actually, I guess the remaining two, since if we're tossing out the Metroid one at that point, is Jonno's camera selfie where Rimbeak latches onto the camera and then holds up an arm cannon to it. Actually, no, I guess we did. Wait, no, okay, no, the Twilix, your power pose is the one that. No, that's. Oh, shit, I forgot about the flash shift. So you do still have 3 to choose from. Shit. Fuck. Okay, so we have the camera selfie with the arm cannon. We have mine where he rips off either the cape or that wing and says power is everything. And then we have him flash shifting onto the screen and pointing his arm cannon upwards, mimicking Samus's pose.
Right.
We only have room for one.
My pitch for this is to make it mine and then have him say powers everything on it.
Twilix?
That's my careful observation there, but yeah.
Yeah, sure. Let's roll with that.
I choose mine. Okay. Oh, there.
Damn. Okay. I was really hoping to go for the tearing off the wing just from the badassery of that.
Yeah, we can still go. We can still find room for it.
I don't think it works as a taunt. It's just imagine the visual of a taunt where he just like you keep spamming this taunt, he just keeps ripping a wing off over and over and over and over again. That's weird. That's so weird. It does not work as a taunt.
Pretty funny. That'd be pretty funny.
It would be, but it doesn't work.
He keeps growing new wings out of spite.
There you go.
It would be funny.
Okay, we can keep this discussion open for a second. So, ripping the wing off is canonical. It's a big moment. And he's flexing his power by saying that. I may say I might prefer that actually to even mine because it's true to Metroid Dread and a big thing that happens in it. And you are correct that maybe as a taunt it would just be kind of unintentionally funny. Additionally, where we had that argument with your ninja style pose for Ravenbeak, you could say that another character can do what I did with his arm cannon.
That's true. Pretty much any character that has some kind of gun.
Yeah, so shifting it back, yeah, I'll make my vote yours.
Twilix? Okay. Great input, Twilix. Really appreciate it. Love it. Love when people chat. So with that, we've got our 3 victory poses with Twilix's power pose, the purple X-Parasite, and then Ravenbeak ripping off his fucking wing. So with that, we have go to the taunts. We've got one taunt already selected, which was the Emmy helmet, Emmy head. We got 2 spots left for taunts. Jonno, you and I both had where he had his arms wide open. Twilix, I don't think you had that one. And then I also have where he kind of like cocks his head to left and right and says pathetic. I'm very open to dropping that one. I think that can go for some of you guys's. I know, Twilix, you had one where he says powers everything, but you didn't have a pose. But I think we can just slot that one into the victory pose I did, where he's saying that quote as well. Yeah. What do you guys think with other taunts?
Yeah. Then the other one is synthesized because Twilix and I both had Ravenbeak, doing the come on taunt.
That's true.
So that kind of, yeah.
Do we want to have both the come on taunt and also the arms wide one though? Because those to me invoke very similar imagery.
What would the other choices be then? I think there's room for
the other choices are you guys' choices.
Yeah, because one of my taunts was ripping off the wing, so that's off the table. The other one is the same as yours, lifting the arms, and then the other one is to come hither. So,
Twilix, what were yours?
Yeah.
The come at me gesture, wings sprouting, and powers everything.
Okay, so I think by default.
Okay, yeah, I think by default we got it.
Yeah.
The come at me, but then also the arms being spread wide out.
Wait,
not wings. No arms.
Yeah.
John, it's like the artwork that they have for him, where he's addressing his army, Twilix, and he has his arms spread out to the whole crowd.
Gotcha.
Yeah, that's what we're talking about. Okay, well,
just use both. You can make like a hip hop dance video for Ravenbeak. It'll be fine.
I mean, he could break dance.
Yeah. Okay, new taunt idea.
New taunt, pole dancing.
No.
Yep.
All right, so we got the animations out of the way. Let's go ahead and actually get into the moveset itself, with all of our special moves and all that fun stuff. John, do you want to go ahead and start with your first with your standard special?
Sure. Raven breaks out a group of lovely courtesans who shield him from impending damage.
See,
But
it's
what?
funny because I thought at first you were going to say bakes bread. I was like, what? Because you were trying to say breaks, but I was hearing bake. I was like, we're baking bread. What's happening?
Yeah. Anything can happen in Metroid Jed.
Yeah, Metroid bread.
There you go. This will be interesting. I wonder how
Twilix
much
died.
crossover, because we had.
Yeah, I'm expecting a fair bit of crossover because, like, admittedly, there's not a whole lot for him. There's more than we have for Silex, but there's a boss fight, and then we know the ability he has. He doesn't have like a whole wide array of possibilities like some other choices are. So I'm curious to see like how much we're going to cross over here, or have like the same basic idea but change the functionality up.
Right. So that's kind of what I'm expecting. I mean, the taunts and victory poses kind of lend itself to that too. But let's see here. So the standard special is beam burst / hyper beam. So Raven Beak shoots several small energy shots from his arm cannon. These deliver consistent light damage to opponents. So similarly to Fox's, but they do flinch following every 5th or 6th shot I have it written down as. So it's a rapid fire move. You rack up damage with it. It's not really made to knock out foes on its own. Charging the attack, though, you're shifting the arm cannon's energy to instead use Ravenbeak's hyper beam. So you're summoning this persistent stream of plasma after you've fully charged it or mid-charged it. And at full charge, the beam travels about the length of battlefield, so it's a pretty hefty bullet, and dishes out considerable damage and knockback. So you're dishing out the damage, racking it up pretty consistently, persistently, and at the tail end of that move, that's when you finish up with some heavy knockback. Either attack can be used in whatever direction. So it's a 360 no scope.
As you do.
And if it's used in midair, Ravenbeak will use this attack in flight. So he's flying in place while unleashing the beam burst or hyper beam.
Okay.
And there you go.
All right. So for my standard special, this move doesn't have an official name, not that I could find at least, but it is in his boss fight. So I decided to give it the name of Dread Orb, because it's a black orb, and the game's called Metroid Dread. Seems to work
sense.
just fine to me. So I picked this move to be the standard special because it's in a way it has similar parallels to Samus's charge shot, which is a charging attack where you're showing off a sphere of energy. But this one's going to be happening in a bit different way. So for this move, Ravenbeak is going to be crouching down and pointing his arm cannon down towards the ground as he charges up a sphere of dark energy from it. Once he launches his attack, he more or less kind of like he swings his arm cannon up and it almost looks like he's throwing the orb up into the air as he fires it, and it just kind of looks like diagonally up into the air. And if its special properties don't activate, then it's kind of just going to go up and then start falling back down in a gentle arc. Just fairly standard with that. That said, if another fighter gets roughly within, say, half a Kirby or a Kirby of the orb, it's going to start homing in on them. It's not too fast, it's not that hard to avoid, but it is suddenly something that they have to start being worried about. And Ravenbeak can only have one of these orbs on the field at the time. You can charge up this move to make the orb be larger, deal more damage. It's not going to make it any faster or have any better homing. You can also just quickly fire one. Well, I say quickly, but it still has its own initial startup lag. So it's not like you can just rapid fire these off. But you can just do a tap and then the orb will be smaller and do less damage, but it will still be following them. it's easier to avoid in its uncharged form, but you can get it off quicker. Essentially, it's the thing there.
Right. Right.
But
So you're not dishing out like a ton of knockback or anything, but it's there.
right. I mean, it's not a
Mhm.
huge knockback attack. It's more supposed to be like an additional threat that they have to keep an eye on while avoiding other attacks that you're doing.
Right. So it's kind of like a combo ready kind of thing.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Like you could hit somebody
Mhm.
into it, and they're just like, "Ah, fuck."
Yep. Cool.
All right, Twilix, what is your standard special?
See, so what I was going to go for is him using the Omega Cannon that you can acquire in the game after defeating a central unit.
Okay.
Functionally, it's pretty similar to Samus's charge shot, but he's able to aim it in other directions than just to the side.
Okay, very nice. It's like
And it'd be a smaller projectile when fully charged.
Okay.
Not quite as big.
Then when you're saying small projectile with full charge, are you comparing it to Samus's charge shot or to
Yes.
how the Omega Cannon looks in Dread?
Smaller than it is in Smash.
Okay. That reminds me, I actually
Got it.
forgot to mention with the Dread Orb that at full charge, it is smaller than Samus's charge shot. The how small,
Got it, okay.
yeah, variable. I don't have to come up with that strictly speaking, but it is noticeably smaller.
Too bad for Ravenbeak.
Yes.
Okay.
How dreadful. What's your side special then, sir?
Oh, yeah.
Mine or his?
Jonno's.
Okay.
Got it. Twilix mentioned this earlier in one of his victory post pitches. It's flash shift.
Okay.
It just kind of is. So yeah, using one of those Aeon abilities, Ravenbeak fades from the physical realm, instantly warping forward. And again, Twilix, Lister, and I use Kirby as a form of measurement very often on Smashtopias. So
yeah, Kirby, Bowser, Final Destination Battlefield tend to be our sometimes Ridley or Ganondorf are our measurements usually.
So yeah, he fades from vision and then instantly warps forward or backward about 3 Kirbys.
Poor Wanda.
The move is chainable, so if you use it like a split second after he reappears, then you can go in the opposite direction. You basically chain it and use it again and again and again. But it will be a little weaker each time that you use it, and eventually Ravenbeak will just be basically warping into place, and then you'd have to naturally charge it back up. So it's a keep away kind of like sniper-ish move, just moving from one place to another. That's basically all it is.
Okay. So you had Beam Burst on the standard special. I've got it from my side.
Yeah.
We love when we do this to each other. So my Beam Burst is actually fairly different from yours, though. I pulled mine a lot more based on how it appears in his actual boss fight, where it's just like a constant stream of plasma shots. So with this move, Ravenbeak's going to be pointing his arm cannon forwards. He's just going to unleash a rapid-fire machine gun-like storm of tiny little energy blasts. The attack has a very long range to it, and Ravenbeak is capable of performing continuous fire as long as the attack button is held down. However, much like how Bowser and Charizard's Fire Breaths have diminishing returns if you keep holding down the button, on this attack, not only will the range of the shots start to decrease over time, but the speed at which Ravenbeak is firing them will decrease as well until he's just firing like piddly little shots in a very slow manner. And it's like, why are you still trying? But basically that. Additionally, you can aim this omnidirectionally around you, just like how Ravenbeak can in his boss fight. So if you don't want to just point it straight forward, you can point it up, down, behind you, whatever direction you want. Ravenbeak can fire it. Just don't hold it down too long, or it's going to become pathetically weak.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
Twilix, what's your side special?
Basically that, but it plays into a unique mechanic I was thinking of for Ravenbeak that may or may not make him interesting.
Okay.
So, in Dread, when you use your Aeon abilities, you've got a meter.
Mm-hmm.
And then once it goes empty, it recharges. So, I'm thinking with Beam Burst and a couple other of his specials that we'll get to as we get to them. Those rely on a meter that will recharge over time or fill up a lot faster if he takes damage.
Okay.
Interesting. All right.
So I'm assuming that like our beam bursts more or less work the same.
Yeah.
But if he runs out of Aeon, he either can't use it at all, or it is in the very reduced minimal version of the attack. Okay. Is his the Omega Cannon affected by this meter?
No.
Okay.
Because it's not an Aeon ability.
Gotcha. In that case, Jonno, what is your up special?
It is Shine Spark.
Ooh, good choice.
Yeah, thank you. I wonder if we may be hearing it again, to be honest. Oh, well, let's see. But anyway, like a subtle blue energy surrounds Ravenbeak, and he floats slightly off the ground, and you can dash in one of 8 directions. So it's another omnidirectional recovery. Those hit by Ravenbeak during this propulsion will be dealt strong electrical damage. He maintains several frames of super armor, so you can't really screw with him too much when he's attempting to recover. And if you don't make a landing, though, you are entering free fall. So it's kind of like Octaslash and like Fox Illusion, a little bit of Quick Draw combined, and takes them probably about as far as Quick Draw would, just vertically instead of horizontally, or horizontally if he wishes, because it's omnidirectional. So.
Okay. So you had Beam Burst for your standard special. I had it for my side. You had Flash Set for your side special. And I have it for my up. So we've got a bit of a pattern going here. We'll see how that ends up going. So for my version of Flash Shift, it's kind of similar to yours, but I went a little bit more of a Pikachu quick attack kind of an angle with it, where Ravenbeak is going to fade into an ethereal glow, and he's going to seem to like dash forwards a short distance in whatever direction that the control stick is pointed, kind of like how Pikachu's quick attack can work. But then also, again, you can quickly chain it up to 3 times as he goes like one direction, another, and then another, just flash shifting around. The distance isn't too great on any of them. I think you said 1 flash shift for yours was like 3 Kirby's, but you had it limited to 2. Mine is more like, mine is considerably less than that. It's somewhere more around 1.5 to 2 Kirby's with each shift. So you get a lot less out of it, and you can't just go in one direction each the whole way. You have to actually change what your angle is. So you can't just go in a whole straight line. Because that's...
Got it.
I didn't want it to just do that. Additionally, making contact with Ravenbeak himself in this attack does not damage opponents. That's because Ravenbeak is moving faster than the speed of light, which means he leaves behind an after image behind him. But making contact with the after image is what can damage people. So you might have people thinking, oh, okay, so just get out of Ravenbeak's way and I'll be fine. Haha, I dodged behind him. Oh god, there's another thing here. I just got hit.
That's cool. That's a neat little addition.
And that's my up special. Twilix, what have you got?
Flash Shift.
I mean,
in my mind, it functioned off of it initially being like, a shift upwards, and then you can control whatever direction he can go after that. Omnidirectional.
So you always go up first, and then afterwards you can go in another direction.
Yes.
Okay.
Nice.
And that functions off of the Aeon meter as well.
Okay.
What happens is your Aeon meter is depleted for this move?
You just get the 1 jump.
Okay, makes sense to me. Is it also like a reduced jump, or?
I'd say no.
Okay, fair enough. All right, Jonno, what's your down special? Is it the orb attack?
Oh boy. So let me tell you, there is a name that is there's a move in Metroid Dread that Beak uses that, as far as I know, is unnamed.
Is it the sun attack? I bet
So
it's the sun attack.
what I did when I incorporated it, I gave it a name of my own. And given it's Metroid Dread, it's fairly dark. I called it the Dread Orb.
Now here's my question. Here's my question for you. Did you actually come up with the name Dread Orb, or did you change it to Dread Orb after I said mine?
Oh no, it was Dread Orb in my notes for like 3 days.
Originally, I wrote down my attack as being called Dreadful Sphere, but I was just like, I don't like how that sounds. I'm gonna change it to Dread Orb.
Yeah, Dreadful Sphere sounds a bit too
much.
Much? Yeah.
All right, that is your Dread Orb.
Like well, I wrote this down, so let's see. Ravenbeak waves his hand and summons a dark orb. Uncharged, sizes up to roughly a Kirby and a half in circumference. The orb rattles forward, kind of goes back and forth, and it gradually hones in on the nearest opponent if they're within range. So it's just kind of like the slow-moving orb that you can charge and make larger. I had about the size of Samus's beam, fully charged, and it moves the same speed every time. So the larger it is, the smaller it is, it's moving to the same kind of function. If that makes sense. I don't know. I'm just rambling. But it'll deal a little more damage and knockback if it the larger it is and the more fully charged it is. So pretty much the difference here between yours and mine is that I pointed out that pretty often, maybe 50-50, it'll also dish out a random status effect. Just to kind of help compensate for it's kind of a move that's meant for keep away and combos and not really like a super powerful move on its own.
Right.
So just tossing that in there to kind of switch things up. That's how mine works.
Okay. See what's been happening here today. This has been very amusing. So your down special is Dread Orb, which was my standard special. Your standard special was Beam Burst, which is my side special. Your side special was Flash Shift, which is my up special. Your Flash Shift was Shine Spark, which is not my down special. Finally, something different here.
It's the sun, isn't it?
It's not. It's lightning armor. I think somebody also used lightning armor for their down special. Twilix. That's what it sounds like with your little gas sound you made there. This is incredible.
I thought I had come up with something you guys wouldn't think of.
Joke's on you, bitch! Joke's on you! You haven't even seen what's in our mad minds yet. Seriously, go watch the Waluigi episode.
I at least have a unique thing for the storm missiles, but go ahead.
I'll tell you this. I don't have storm missiles in mine. So there you go. Let me tell you about how my lightning armor works, though. So when you press this button, streaks of lightning, blue lightning, are going to be just like appearing over Ravenbeak's armor. They're just kind of like going to be crackling around, moving a little bit. Not super noticeable, but it's also not like subtle. Like you'll be able to tell. As long as you hold down the down special attack, this lightning will continue to spark over Ravenbeak's armor, and he cannot move. Now, other people can attack him and move him, but you can't move the control stick forward to make him walk around. You can't jump, you can't crouch, you can't do any of that. You are in place. During this state, if Ravenbeak is hit by an energy-based attack, so a shot from the ray gun, Samus's charge shot, Mario's fireballs, things of that nature, so non-physical moves like Link's bows or thrown beam swords or anything like that. If any of those attacks hit Ravenbeak, then he's only going to take 3/4 of the damage instead of the full amount, and that remaining fourth is kind of just going to get funneled into his armor. He's just going to absorb it and start turning it into power. As this happens, as Ravenbeak takes on more and more damage while this move is up, his lightning is going to change color. It's going to first go from blue to green, and then from green to red. The color of this lightning will determine the strength of the eventual blowback from this attack. When Ravenbeak, as long as he has this move pressed, if he presses the shield button, then he will unleash all the stored power that he has in his lightning armor into an AoE electrical attack centered on him. If it's just the blue lightning, it's going to be pretty weak. If it gets to green, it'll be considerably stronger. If it gets to red, that is the strongest that this move will get. It takes a fair amount of damage to go from blue to green as far as upgrading the damage potential with this attack, and as well a fair amount to go from green to red. However, once Ravenbeak is at the red tier, it does not take much to push him over the limit. If Ravenbeak is pushed over the limit, if he absorbs too much power, then much like so many other things in sci-fi stories, the backlash is going to hit, and he's going to be damaged by his own armor. A lightning attack that's, it's still centered on him, but now it's going to damage him. But instead of doing knockback, it's going to put him in a stunned state after the damage, which makes him a literal sitting duck. So don't take on too much. Let it out before you can. That said, I mentioned that you have to activate it by pressing the shield button to discharge out the lightning. That's because you can end your down special at any time and resume it later, keeping your lightning armor at the same tier that it was. So you can just kind of like store it for later. Just be careful. Don't hold on to it for too long, or you will be punished.
Mm-hmm.
Twilix, what's your lightning armor like?
I was basically gonna have it act sort of like the reflector, but with melee attacks instead of ranged weapons.
Okay.
So if you activate it, it's sort of like a counter that you can hold longer, really.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, nice.
All right.
And of course works off the Aeon meter.
Right. I miss. How does the what does the counter look like when you use it?
Well, lightning armor is normally green, when Samus uses it. And I believe something along that lines is what he's using during this boss fight that you're attacking initially.
For his, it goes from blue to green to red and then to gold.
Yes.
Boss fight.
And gold's the state where it's just invincible.
Correct.
So it would just lash out with lightning when he gets hit with a melee attack.
Mm-hmm. Is it an AoE centered on him like in Mines, or is it more like he does a lightning attack in front of him? That's what I'm kind of figuring out how it looks for you.
It'd probably just attack the person that attacks him first.
Okay, so it just hits like a lightning attack on whoever is right in front of him.
Yes.
Okay, makes sense to me. All right. Jonno, what's your final smash?
All right. My final smash is called Ravenbeak X. So Ravenbeak quickly charges his cannon, and he shoots this like really long streaming beam of energy out into the air. So directly up. When it travels skyward, using another term of measurement here, about 3 Bowsers up in length. The beam extends into like a curtain of like rays of energy, so it's coming down like an umbrella from either side of the beam. It's an attack in this boss fight, basically.
Yep.
So it's in a half circle radius. Anyone caught within this curtain or by the beam itself is taken into a cinematic, and you're on the surface of the planet ZDR, where that purple X-Parasite latches onto Ravenbeak, and he transforms into that disastrous monster Ravenbeak X. Ravenbeak X screeches and then just barrels towards its foes, and then jumps down and eats them.
More or less
ends
looking just like when Samus fails that cutscene, and it just destroys, it just eats her.
Yep. So you exit the cutscene, and all the fighters are sent flying. Anyone with over 100% damage racked up from when they entered the cinematic is automatically KO'd. Done.
Makes sense. I think Ravenbeak X is what most people think of when trying to come up with the final smash for Ravenbeak, because it makes a lot of sense. I considered it for myself, but I wanted to do something different. That said, what I did do as something different, I don't think it's necessarily too exciting. I've more or less done a different take on Samus's final smash that she has, the Zero Laser, which on the Smashtopia wiki I have reskinned into the Hyper Beam from Super Metroid. Just mentioning that because I can. So actually, It's either Super First Metroid or there's multiple Hyper Beams in the series. It's a Hyper Beam. But anyways, for my Final Smash, I call this one Mockin Beam. Because one, he is from the Mockin tribe, and two, he's kind of mocking Samus with this beam.
Ha!
Hey! Don't put your hand over your face. You've done worse, bitch. So for this attack, this one is not a cinematic. But pink and white energy is going to be charging up in front of Ravenbeak's arm cannon before he, instead of firing it straight forward like Samus's, he's going to angle it upwards in a diagonal manner and fire the beam that way. And it's going to be very similar looking to Samus's in terms of like the size and length of the attack, how it damages, like it can hit people multiple times. It's very much like that. I kind of figured it makes sense because they both use the same Chozo weaponry and technology, so there's some similarities between them. And then you also can minorly, I'm saying, angle the attack a little bit after it's been fired. Kind of like move it slightly down, move it slightly up, in case somebody got out of the initial hit and you want to really get them. So you have the option of trying to get them, but it is a limited degree of adjustment. But that's what I have. Just, mocking a little bit of Samus. Twilix, what's your Final Smash?
So, something he shows off early on is that he fires this big thing of energy from his arm cannon. It's a Hyper Beam. It functions like the Zero Laser. But, well, it still, is a straight line from left to right to left, whatever. Unlike how you're doing it. For what I'm doing is he's actually able to aim it up or down at a further angle than Samus can, move it faster, but it doesn't last as long.
Okay.
Nice.
I also mentioned that I had another version of this I had considered, but I ended up just going with the straight up beam version. Where, because in the boss fight, you can see different times where he builds like what's almost like a blade of energy from his arm cannon. They can just like swing, which is kind of weird looking, to be honest. I consider just having like his Final Smash just be like just a big old blade swipe with the energy beam and just going across the screen that he sees in one direction. But I decided to just go with the beam method instead. I just thought it worked better.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. So after the Final Smashes, let's go ahead and talk about the extra skills now, which for anybody that doesn't remember, is more or less a fifth special move, but it's kind of a wild card of sorts, where you can do pretty much whatever. You don't have to worry about, up special needs to be recovery, or, down specials are usually defensive, or pointed downwards, or whatever. Extra skills, we got a lot of freedom here. Jonno, what's yours?
My extra skill is lightning armor.
Fuck.
Right until the very end.
So the only thing of yours I don't have is the fucking Shine Spark. And I guess
Ravenbeak X. Yeah. Oh.
How does it work for you then?
Is it the same thing or is it different?
It's kind of the in-between on Twilix's and yours.
All right.
So Twilix's is fairly it's straightforward, which has merit. Because so many moves can get overcomplicated. Blisters has a lot going on and it stacks up and makes sense. Mine that I had written down is Ravenbeak standing idly with his arms spread, and you see that blue electrical surge consuming his armor, just like as you had mentioned, Lister. How I had it is melee attacks dealt to Ravenbeak while in this form will be dealt back in powerful energy blast, kind of like in the direction of the melee attack, and it delivers roughly 1.2 times the damage and knockback that the foe would have dealt Ravenbeak. Projectiles also. Most projectiles will be sent whirling back immediately, and they'll be traveling back at roughly 1.2 times the speed as they were sent in Ravenbeak's direction. Ravenbeak must remain still while using this move, Though you can stack up to 4 counters in a row, basically. So the energy surrounding his armor, it shifts from blue to green to red. And then I had one extra little stage where it shifts to gold. And instead of turning into that one massive AoE, it just is an identifier for how many more attacks you can take before the move dissipates.
Okay.
And because it's a fairly strong counter measure and a lot can be absorbed in quick fashion, how I have it is that he's not able to use it. I couldn't really fully decide. It's either a certain amount of seconds have to pass, or maybe like Banjo-Kazooie's side special, it can only be used a certain number of times until he loses stock to refresh it.
Okay.
And that was mine.
I mean, it doesn't sound too crazy to me that I think it has to have like a limited amount of per stock. Because it sounds like more or less a standard counter, just you can stay in that position for infinity, essentially. You just make yourself vulnerable while you do. But I would probably just go with after you do the 4th hit with the gold, then there's probably just like a cooldown in seconds.
Got it. Yeah, I agree.
All right, so for mine, my extra skill is a move that I've seen some people say should become one of Samus's new moves. Just in Smash, just replacing one of her attacks, whether it's like a special or a dash attack or something. It's just should become part of her kit in some form. But so I decided to take this and make it be Ravenbeak's extra skill because, well, Samus isn't doing this yet. So why the fuck not? And it's the melee counter that was added into Return of Samus. Or Samus Returns, whatever the fuck you want to call it. The remake version of the game. And it is even a little bit tweaked in Dread. So Ravenbeak and other Chosen Warriors can use melee counters, but for them, their version is called the finish counter, but it didn't make sense to call it the finish counter for me here. So I'm just calling it the melee counter. So this is why I have my lightning armor only work on, well, I guess not strictly projectiles, because physical projectiles don't work, but only works in like energy-based attacks, which could apply to like some melee attacks, like if you hit somebody with the fire bar. But this one is strictly only working on melee attacks. So what Ravenbeak will do here, just like with the basic melee counter and the more recent Metro games, is he's going to do an uppercut hit with his arm cannon. While if he's in the air, he's going to do a downward swipe, because that's something they added into Dread, whereas in Samus Returns, it's always an uppercut, no matter if you're on the ground or in the air. If this hits an opponent who's just being normal, they're not doing anything special, it's going to do extremely minor damage and like no knockback. So it's like, why the fuck am I using this move? But if an opponent is in the process of performing some kind of melee attack, then melee counter will interrupt it. It has an extremely fast priority on interrupting melee-based attacks. It will stop them from doing it, and it's going to do significantly increased damage to the opponent because they were in the middle of doing a melee attack, and this is a melee counter. It's not a traditional counter-like move where you have to get hit yourself to use it. It's more of, I'm stopping you from doing something. Back the fuck off. And that's really how it works. It's pitiful when attacking an opponent who's not doing a melee strike, but if you can hit somebody when they are, then you can snap them out of it. You have the priority to destroy their attack, and you hurt them. Additionally, if Ravenbeak is in the air when he does this, and he does the downward swipe, and he triggers the melee counter property of it, then they're going to be meteor smash straight downwards. All right, Tucson. Is your extra skill also melee counter, or do you have something else for us?
Storm missiles, buddy.
Storm missiles. Tell me about them.
Okay.
So, they function basically how they work in Dread, where it's sort of like a charged missile type thing, where you're holding it and you're able to lock onto up to 4 targets, or lock 4 different missiles onto the same target.
Gotcha.
And they will just seek out that target. Sort of like a missile lock-on type deal.
Right. Are they able to lock onto multiple things in Smash, or can they only lock into one thing and they just fires the missiles at them?
Lock onto multiple things.
Okay. And I assume you have to hold down the button to do the lock on, but when you let go, the missiles are automatically fired.
Yes.
Gotcha. Okay.
Nice.
Finally, a unique idea.
Yes. But now we had the hard part. Picking moves. We have some crossover. but in different spots.
Yeah.
So, okay, gonna be interesting how we do this. Okay, guys, how do we want to figure this one out? We've got multiple dread orbs, multiple beam bursts, multiple flash shifts, multiple lightning armors, multiple Mocking beam / hyper beam. We've got one melee counter. We've got one storm missile. We've got one shine spark. Did I get everything?
I think
we
so.
Also have a
Surprise
Raven Beak
me.
X. We also have a Raven Beak X.
Oh my goodness! Yeah.
So it's like, what the fuck? I honestly don't. Normally, I have ideas of where to begin with this. I guess we should start with the final smash because that's the least complicated part. Do we want to do Raven Beak X, or do we want to do some version of Hyper Beam / Mocking beam?
I'm partial to using the hyper beam itself rather than Raven Beak X. Just because it's weird for him to go through that monstrous transformation and then just not, considering how it actually is in the game.
Fair enough. I mean, to be fair, Bowser turns into Giga Bowser and then turns right back. But that said, there's also no lore about Giga Bowser.
Yeah.
Right. Although there are things that happen in cinematic missions in Ultimate that are fairly, finite, like Ridley destroying Samus's gunship, or King K. Rool destroying Kong Island, which are both also fantasy aspects that don't happen. And then you say you're playing King K. Rool destroying Kong Island on a stage based on Kong Island, and you return to Kong Island right afterwards. Like a Congo Jungle or Jungle Chase. So
fair enough.
We'll see. So, but yeah, both moves are both general options here, being the Mocking / Hyper Beam and Raven Beak X, are kind of derivative of something, right? The beam being derivative of Samus's kind of in the way that Zero Beam in the way that it works. And Raven Beak X, it's a cinematic smash.
It's pulled straight out of the failure option for the final boss fight.
Right. So I will maintain right now. I'll stall a choice, and we'll just go to you and see what are you thinking.
Personally, I both like and don't like both of these for different reasons. One, I think the visual of seeing Raven Beak X charging at the Smash Fighter and just devouring them, incredibly powerful and disturbing. And on a level, I really like that. I think that's a fun visual. That said, I do agree with Twilix's point about how it does feel a little bit weird to see Raven Beak transform into this monstrous form that is him being possessed and infected. It's not a willing choice by him. And then we go back to the Smash match where Raven Beak is just his regular old self. It does feel a little bit weird in that respect. That said, with Mocking beam / Hyper beam, while I did write it down, it's also just this is very, very similar to Samus's. And a lot of times we don't typically like to do things that are too similar, because Final Smash can easily be differentiated between characters. We have so many in Smash that are similar. Good God, the Landmasters for Brawl, shit. Come the fuck on.
Yeah.
But and then also Brawl had Link and Toon Link doing the exact same Final Smash. Brawl had a lot of that. Smash 4 worked on it a little bit. Ultimates worked on it a little bit more. But there's still some instances of those kinds of similarities. But the difference with this one, Twilix is a straight shot, but you have more freedom of movement with it. Mine is limited freedom of movement, but a diagonal shot, because I want to differentiate the visual, just have it be a little bit different there. And also, I believe when he uses the attack, he can shoot it in different angles, so that's why I come with that. So it's not just a normal straight shot. Between them, I mean, I'm kind of okay with either or. I think Raven Beak X would be a more fun visual. It's just got that weird bit of how much this makes sense. But Smash also a lot how just it doesn't make sense. I don't give a shit. Fuck it. Do what I want. It's okay, Mr. Sakurai, sir. We'll have Ganondorf be Captain Falcon's grandpa, whatever. You're the boss, man.
We'll have Mr. Game & Watch become the octopus.
Negative zone. Negative zone. What the fuck was that?
Yeah.
I don't.
Something great. Yeah.
Somebody was doing drugs. That's more or less my thoughts between our two options.
Right, and it sounds like Twilix and yours is actually pretty darn similar in execution.
I mean, they're the same basic idea. It's just one goes straight forward with more freedom of movement. One goes up into the air with less freedom of movement.
Got it. Okay. What if I wonder if there can be more of a compromise between those moves, like shifting the. I like the freedom of movement idea because it speaks to the freedom of movement that you have in Dread with that hyper beam, more Mach beam. So I also like the visual of Ravenbeak, shooting it closer towards the sky, given that being derivative of one of its moves as well in the game. What if there was a crossroads? Yeah.
Well,
what was that?
Here's the thing about my thoughts on like having like the more freedom of movement being, which is like wildly move it around. That pretty much just makes it Samus's Final Smash, but just better. It's like,
and that's why I went for the shorter duration.
Right, but I don't know. Just the fact just being able to move around that freely. Most Final Smashers don't really do that much freedom. Like Lucario's Ori Storm is the most freedom of movement you have with any of these kind of like beam like Final Smash that you can alter. Well, that and I guess the Splatoon's Inklings, but even then they're not like super fast. You can only go so far with them. Like Lucario's, it starts out straight down, but you can move about to be like, I think something like this angle out, and then the Inkling is it's kind of the same. You don't get like a full fast freedom of movement. It's fairly slow and it's limited to some degree. It just feels like it's all the other B moves. It's just like, fuck you, I'm better.
Right, but I think a shorter duration could potentially, or you just make the beam itself travel shorter. I'm not sure. Either which way, I guess getting this out of the way, I would be fine shelving Ravenbeak X if it's a point of contention, and if you bizarre to make it happen canonically, then okay, fine. But then if we do that, the sorting out of which version of the beam to go through would be the next kind of complicated step.
Right. Twilix, what do you think?
I feel like you do have a point about the mobility of the hyper beam.
Mm-hmm.
So I think yours is probably the best approach for it.
Just with the limited angles, just to make it be more balanced.
Yeah.
Okay. Do we want to call it Hyper Beam or do we call it Mach Beam? Because I know when I made my Samus moveset for her a while back, I called it Hyper Beam for hers. We don't necessarily have to avoid using the same name. I typically try to with some of my own stuff, but that's the point of having collaborative projects.
I mean,
like I don't think his attack has a kinetic. Is his canonically Hyper Beam? I wasn't sure if it had a name when I came up with mine.
See, after beating Ravenbeak, you get that power,
right?
And it's labeled as the Hyper Beam.
Right, but I thought you got that from the Chozo suit or the Metroid suit.
It's not really clear whether it's the suit itself or you just stole that power from Ravenbeak. Because Samus goes full Metroid and just kind of snacks on him, basically.
Right. So I'm looking at its wiki page now, trying to see if they ever declare what it's called, and they don't. They just say that he's capable of a wide variety of shots, including gigantic laser beams. It's like, cool. Thanks. Thanks, Wiki. You're helpful. Fuck.
What about Solar Beam? Psy Beam?
Ice
Bubble Beam? Yeah.
I don't think we need to go Pokemon here.
Plasma cannon.
No. We need to move on. Maybe that's just a name that we'll figure out post or something. If we ever find like what it's officially called, we can always change it at some point later down the line of the years. So we'll just slot in Mockin / Hyper Beam as the final smash. So what else? How are we gonna get through these? Jonno, give me something. Give me a thought to build off of.
Okay.
We all had beam burst. We all had flash hit. We all had lightning armor, just in different spots and in different ways.
Yeah. So you both had flash shift as an up special.
Correct.
Working in again generally similar ideas with Twilix's work slightly different than yours.
Yeah.
In terms of the allowances of movement. Mine was a different up special, being Shine Spark, and so now the question becomes again. I think this might be a good segue into kind of similar place where we were with Raven Beak X and the Beam. Do we go with one of the few unique options, or do we go with a variation of Flash Shift? And if we go with one of the variations of Flash Shift, what does that mean for the side special Flash Shift that I also proposed? Ooh, buddy.
Well, if we go for the up special or the side special of it, same thing. If anything that where it's in multiple spots, like always, it can only go into one spot. And I kind of feel like once we slot something in, we might start a domino effect. If we put Flash Shift on up special, well, then that means the only option for side special is Beam Burst. And if that's the case, then the only options for the standard special are either Dread or is Dread Orb. Because that's what. Wait, no. What did Twilix do for your standard special?
The Omega Cannon.
Omega Cannon. That's right.
Yep.
How does your Omega Cannon work again?
Pretty similarly to the regular charge shot. Just able to actually aim it in different directions, and it's a smaller shot. It's fully charged.
Pretty cool.
So it's an omnidirectional charge shot.
Yes, with a smaller shot, so it can probably miss a bit more easily.
Kind of the compensation for it being able to move in so many directions. Nice. Okay.
You know, I'm just gonna make a mention here. What if? I need to look up footage what the Omega Cannon looks like in Metro because I thought the Omega Cannon shot off a giant beam.
Yeah, that was the Omega Cannon from Hunter.
Then what's the thing that Samus uses to melt off the enemy's face? Because I thought that was the Omega Cannon.
That's also the Omega Cannon.
Okay, and that's a beam attack, isn't it? It's not just a single orb.
There's the Omega Stream, and then there's the Omega Cannon. The Stream is a rapid fire shot. The Cannon is a charged shot.
Oh, Wiki, please have fucking pictures. Great. Great. It doesn't. Cool. Awesome. Thanks, you unhelpful bastard. Huh. Okay. Okay, so there's one where it does doing the stream of bullets, but then when it gets close, that's when you fire out the big beam. Okay. Okay. So see, what I was about to suggest is possibly why can't the final smash be just like it keeps the same appearance and move of what we've said for our beam attacks, but it's just like the Omega Cannon doing its beam attack instead. But if it doesn't work that way with a giant beam attack. I mean, Smash sometimes bullshits shit.
Sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
Like Dark Samus' echo fighting abilities. Yep.
Point being that if we want to, we could call the Final Smash Omega Cannon, but keep it with the exact same animation and whatnot. That way we don't fight over Hyper Beam and Mockin Beam.
I suppose.
We'll consider it. Okay, so back to the other thing. God, yeah, we are gonna set off a chain attack here. Chain attack. With whatever we choose. Fuck. So our extra skills we had Dread Orb, for you. Twilix had his storm missiles, and I had the melee counter. I kind of like the idea of the
I have
storm
lightning
missiles.
armor as my extra skill.
I thought you're. Oh, that's right. Your Dread Orb is down special. That's right.
Yep.
That's right.
Yep.
Okay. I'd be okay with dropping the melee counter for this. I kind of like storm missiles. Part of me is kind of worried about how powerful they could be, but when I get to write into the wiki, I can figure out how to deal with that and make it a little bit more balanced. Lightning armor, because your down special was fucking Dread Orb. Give me the details for your Shine Spark again, because I'm not clear on that.
Shine Spark. Okay. Well, a little blue energy surrounds Ravenbeak. You're given that little bit of starting lag to be able to choose, an omnidirectional path in order to kind of propel Ravenbeak forward. And so he's shooting himself forward in this strong, like, electrical current, basically, that follows him with imagery of himself in the back, like with your flash shift. So, and again, he maintains super armor, just basically shooting himself forward several feet. That's basically it.
Did you say that he could change the direction, or did I make that up?
Oh, you made it up. It's the initial direction can be chosen.
Okay. So it's one direction. He just chooses what direction it is. It's
Right.
a Vox illusion, but you can choose where you're going.
Right. Although I can see where an argument for this to be chained into maybe two separate.
Meanwhile, your flash shift was only traveling left and right, but you can go back and forth. Is that correct?
Yeah, you can use it multiple times in a row, and it just gets weaker every time.
That sounds familiar. I think you or I created something that also does that recently. I just can't think of who that was.
Hell if I know.
It was your
Ninja
who?
Bread Man?
Was that Ninja Bread? No, it's something more recent.
No.
Something else more recent happened. I can't think of what that was, but I know I've seen that come up. I just don't know if it was one of us or which one of us it was. Point being, so they work fairly differently. Our lightning armors, all three of those, they're more or less the same idea, but with some key differences. Twilix and I have the exact same beam burst. Yours is different. And then you and I have the exact same Dread Orb, but I think yours has some slight differences.
Yeah, random status effect sometimes.
Right. And then there was something else too that I'm not quite remembering offhand. Fuck. Okay.
I don't know. I think they're fairly flush. I will offer this. Okay. I think that making Beam Burst more canonical to Dread is not a bad thing. So I would offer to say probably yours and Twilix's Beam Burst over mine, especially because Hyper Beam is effectively being used in the final Smash, no matter what it's called.
Right. If we do that, then that means the standard special would become either Dread Orb or Twilix's Omega Cannon, which if we change the final Smash to being Omega Cannon, that means that one has to be Dread Orb. And if that happens, then the down special has to be Lightning Armor, which if that happens, then the extra skill is either melee counter or storm missiles, and the up special is still either flash shift or shine spark. Does that sound accurate?
Yep.
Okay. So
that it does.
Okay, so in short, if we set Beam Burst to the side, then Dread Orb must be standard and Lightning Armor must be down. Twilix?
Yeah.
Okay.
I want this to be over. Let's do it.
Fair enough.
End this misery.
This is taking some time. So that brings us... Let's skip the up special for right now. Let's go to the extra skill. Extra skill. Melee counter or storm missiles. I am cool with dropping melee counter for storm missiles.
Yeah, storm missiles.
I think I concur, and it's also partially because Samus and potentially other characters in the future will also be able to use the skill that Lister has proposed.
Okay.
So we can,
I mean, technically, Samus could also do Flash Shift and Lightning Armor and Beam Burst.
Yeah.
But,
Raven Beak also just
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that means for up special, it's either Flash Shift or it's Shine Spark. Jonno's Shine Spark is a one-time jump up or any omnidirectional one-time shot. Mine is more of a Pikachu quick attack where you can chain it into up to 3 times. Twilix's is you go up first, and then after you've gone up, then you can omnidirectionally go in another direction. Except I'm assuming you probably can't go straight up a second time, Twilix.
I mean, I didn't say you couldn't.
Okay, fair enough. So then between these 3 options, what do we like best? Like, I know we're all probably thinking our own, because we usually do.
Yeah. What would the ops? Just say we said a version of Flash Shift was the up special. What would be the option for side special at that point?
Just Beam Burst. Side special is Beam Burst or Flash Shift.
Got it. Yeah, I mean, I can see elements of where each of our up specials could probably influence the others, and we could change it up a little bit in the post.
Mm-hmm.
Like for instance, like I'm thinking my Shine Spark could potentially be similar to Twilix's Flash Shift, where you shoot up in the air, and then you have that extra ability to then choose from there where you want to go. It has to make it a better recovery. That being said, yeah, the hill that I will die on today will be Shine Spark. So let's see what the rest of you guys say.
See, the reason I like Flash Shift to be, I think Flash Shift is a great one to be done. It's like Shine Spark, it's just a running technique. That's what Shine Spark is. From my non-Metroid playing understanding, it's purely a running technique. And it can get you great distance, but that's how it starts out. You have to do a running start to it. But Flash Shift, like we see Ravenbeak do it. Samus can also do it. It's one of the Aeon abilities. And you essentially, like, you are moving away, kind of in a Fox Illusion type method.
Mm-hmm.
You know, whereas mine lets you chain it up. Twilix's is you go up first and you go in another direction. I could kind of see either or working. Part of me is kind of leaning towards the Twilix version, but it's still up for debate.
I do agree that of the two, I don't know, something about Twilix is starting the way that it does seems like it might lend itself to Smash's gameplay style
it's really Twilix is honestly a merger of ours. That's what it is.
Yeah.
It's the middle ground. So maybe we go with the middle ground.
Right. Or we go with the high ground, which is mine. No, I'm just kidding.
I mean, I don't think you're the one with the high ground here, Anakin.
Oh, okay. Anyway,
is that what we want to do then? Go with Twilix's Flash Shift?
I think Twilix says yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So then the moves are decided. So now we got to go to the unique traits. We're going to try and wrap this up as quick as we can here. So for mine, I just have down simply enough. Ravenbeak can do wall jumps. He can do wall clings. He also has 2 small additional mid-air jumps that he uses by bamfing at his wings and flapping them a little bit. What about you?
I have 5 total jumps. The first 2 jumps being the standard double jump. And he can flap his wings 3 times. That's pretty much the difference.
So 3 additional, not 2.
Right, and it's just each is less powerful than the last, so that third one is just barely a whimper, basically.
Gotcha.
And yeah, Ravenbeak can also wall jump, so we have like almost exactly the same things.
Okay.
A trend this episode.
Yes. So Twilix, you mentioned your Aeon bar. Do you have further details you want to share about that? Is there anything about how the moveset was chosen that kind of changes how things would work? Because from my understanding, it would only affect the Beam Burst, Flash Shift, and Lightning Armor, I think. Correct?
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Can you give us the details on how all that would work out?
So for the Beam Burst, as the Aeon meter is depleted, I'll go with towards what you had, where it would just fire less often and be weaker shots.
Mm-hmm.
For lightning armor, I'm thinking probably just wouldn't be able to hold it. Like, might be able to have it for like a second if it's empty.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, they need to have some actual. The meter would have to be somewhat full to hold it down.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And flash shift, it would just be the single jump up.
Something I'm realizing is we didn't pick which version of lightning armor.
Oh god. Oh god.
So shit.
Yeah, this really is dread.
Yeah,
So,
this happens sometimes.
we're in an interesting place here.
Yeah.
Twilix's, to my recollection, is again, it's simple execution. You're deflecting melee attacks basically.
It's basically from what I understand of both of yours, they're standard counterattacks, but lightning themed, essentially. Both of you are countering a melee attack, and only melee. No, and well, Twilix is only melee attacks. It is revealed in like a typical counter. Yours does melee attacks with the counter, and then can also reflect projectile attacks, which is pretty much what Palutena's counter/reflect down special is. And then mine is more of a Game & Watch type variety, where he can absorb, instead of like just absorbing the projectile, he takes some damage, but then he stores into his lightning, and he can let it out later when he chooses.
Mm-hmm. Right. I will add that mine, besides, is also a stackable counter, so you can stay in place.
That's right. That's right.
Those 4 times. Yeah. So again, mine being the middle ground option this time, Twilix is being the straight edge. Here it is. There you go. And then yours, again, you brought the coconut mall with you on this journey. Yeah. So just which one do we go with? Since I guess as the one who opened this conversation, Lister, where's your lean and why is it yours?
So I don't like, obviously I would not mind being picked. I know it is a lot to it, and there is a lot that would have to go into kind of balancing a move like this. That said, I'm not strictly saying like we gotta have to go with mine here. One thing I will say though with the two of yours is that with Twilix's, it's a basic counter. Not to disparage what you came up with, Twilix, but it's a normal counter that so many other characters have. Just has a lightning theme to it, as opposed to Mars swing a sword, Roy's swing a sword, Lucina swing a sword. You see where I'm going?
Yeah.
There's a lot of basic style characters, but yours is visually different, but it is still just that kind of counter. Jonno's is better in terms of like Smash competitiveness, that it can both counter and it can reflect projectiles, much like Joker's powered up down special and Palutena's down special. But it does have that little element of you can stay in place and counter up to 4 things at a time. But then once you do that 4th thing, you have some amount of cooldown that you have to wait for before you can counter anything again. I like that aspect of it. I think that's something cool, unique to the counter system. A lot of times when I have to submit a counter for a character, I try and do something with it to make it be different. So in that respect, I like that one has something different to it, even if it is kind of at the cost of what the character can do.
Mm-hmm.
That's my pitch.
And then yours again, it builds up into that AOE kind of Black Panther-y kind of AOE.
Yeah, kind of actually. That's a good comparison. Yeah. It's a lot like Black Panther's armor.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that's pretty cool too. So again, it's just a difference. I do agree, personally, that I do think that the choice here, just because of the scope of Smash, is between mine and yours.
I agree.
It's just, where do we go with it? And because I think that, yeah, I think we might have gone on the same path here, right? What were you going to say?
I was saying like we should get Twilix to weigh in here on the two options.
I was going to say, because you and I may be gridlocked and just out of, again, kind of just ego smashing here, to be honest, but because they're both good ideas. So what do you deal with it, right? So bring in the third party.
Twilix, what's your thoughts?
So I honestly do like the idea of it being a bit more dynamic.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm kind of leaning towards that.
And dynamic, you mean
your version?
Probably.
Okay.
I thought
that could have applied to either or.
Actually,
so.
Yeah. He's like, I actually still prefer my own. So this is the direction we're going. Yeah, okay. There you go. Yeah. I would have never come up with listers in a million years, so let's go with that.
Okay. Then returning to the special abilities here in the unique traits. Twilix, with the Aeon meter, my concern with it is there's no benefit to Ravenbeak to have it up. Like it's literally just if you attack too much, then your attacks aren't any good, and it affects all your attacks. There are other characters in Smash that have kind of some similar things to it, like Robin. He can only use each of his tomes X amount of times before it breaks, and you have to wait some time for that tone to come back. But it's individually to each of his special attacks. It's not a global go fuck yourself. Steve, also, if you run out of materials, he can't place blocks. He can't do his minecart, which that one is more global and universal to all of his stuff. But he can get more of it easily by just doing the down spells. He doesn't have to wait for it to recharge. I'm also just unsure of like how fast they would absorb the Aeon meter and how fast it would recharge. There's a lot of variables and unknowns that I don't know how to answer with him expending Aeon charges. If there was something like an extra skill where he could like burn a charge of Aeon to increase the strength of his own attacks, that would make more sense in my mind. But it's just like a unique trait here. I have trouble envisioning how it would make sense why it would make sense for him to have this when it's no benefit to him. You understand what I mean?
Yeah, I get what you're getting at.
Okay. Like I don't want to like come down on what you have at all, because I like when unique stuff gets brought up, but when I try to like weigh it in my head and picture how this would look and work, like what value does it bring to the character, I struggle to see a reason why the mechanic is there. Maybe if he was like when he has like a high amount, his attacks are powered up, but then when he starts using it up too much, they become weaker over time. Maybe that, but that doesn't also make sense to how Aeon is used in Metroid.
Sure.
Yeah.
I could see it being like even just an aesthetic thing. You have it there and it's being used because some of the moves, like Beam Burst, for example, was explained in a way that kind of, this being present
It
on
naturally
the
has.
meter being present or not, it naturally has this area of cooldown. So I could see if it's important to Twilix to include in some way. It could literally just be like, oh, there's the AR meter, and then it's just kind of there and naturally
in a way
kind of reflects.
In a way, like Beam Burst already has like that. It has that natural degradation to it already, which you could kind of like just like in your head picture as you're running out of Aeon. In Lightning Armor, you could kind of like picture similarly, I guess. Like you can't do it too rapidly in succession, much like every other counter in Smash. If you do it too quickly in succession, the window of time you have to counter something decreases. So it's kind of naturally baked in there when you think about it. Like it's already there, it's just not visually there.
Right. So do we want to make it an aesthetic visual, or do we want to just nix it? Or what?
I think it's just fine as is, personally.
You say as is.
Like I mean, like the general feel for Smash that this attack is already degrading. So like in a player's mind, they can think to themselves, "Hey, this is the Aeon running out. We don't need to put it up there like a meter because you can already see it by the fact that the move is getting weaker. It's like, oh, there's our indication that it's not as good. It's like it's more or less already there. It's just we're not making it universal, affecting all of his or 3 of his attacks.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So from there, alternate colors. I'm assuming we are all just generic palette swaps. You could kind of just be like, oh, this one's green for Crater. Oh, this one's orange for Samus. Or we can just say, hey, his armor becomes black and his robe becomes pink. Hey, his armor becomes gold and his robes become black. Hey, his armor becomes green and his robes become white. There you fucking go.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I did have some ideas jotted down specifically based off of different important shozos, like Quiet Robe with the gold and blue on set, or Chozo Soldier, Chozo Ghost, Chozo Zombie, Chozo Statue, where you're going red and gold, cyan, dark teal, black and white, brown and white. So I can send you that list, and whatever you want to use or not, I don't really care, so I'll just send it to you.
Okay, I can take care of that. The last thing to discuss is the home stages. We don't have to go, as always, we don't have to go into too much detail, just whatever we want to say, we can say. For mine, I just said straight up, ZDR. ZDR is the home stage. I kind of envisioned it in my head as like being something similar to Great Cave Offensive, that it's huge and it's very enclosed, and that in different sections of the stage, sometimes there'll be an Emmy in there. There won't, like, all the Emmys aren't going to be on there at the same time. It's going to, like, there'll only be one Emmy, so you kind of still see one in the area and be like, okay, I don't want to go over there. And if the Emmy catches up to you, it's going to damage you heavily. And if an enemy catches you when you're at 100% damage or more, you're dead. Just like the little lava zones in Great Cave Offensive. That's my pitch.
Mm-hmm. That was also mine. So on to Twilix.
Twilix.
Well, my idea is, on ZDR, of course, but it's a specific zone in ZDR.
Okay.
Ferenia.
Ferenia, okay.
Which, if for those of you who have not played Dread or watched any gameplay of it, or you just straight up forgot, it is an area with an aesthetic that evokes the feel of it being an actual Chozo fortress that hasn't been abandoned for that long for it to be in ruin. It's got shiny architecture, armor suits, banners, and also like air vents. I think that could be a stage hazard that could like push you up.
Wait a minute. This is not Among Us. We don't need vents.
Ha! I just thought that the whole air vents thing would be an interesting thing to play into the stage.
Okay.
That's cool. That's a specific area.
So it's also the area where you first meet Quiet Robe.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, well, we could have Ferenia be part of a ZDR stage. Or, yeah, that's what I thought. For some reason I was thinking different. I thought of DDR. I was like, wait, this doesn't sound right. Because ZDR, kind of like how part of my envision doing from it, it's like each different, it would kind of be like a bastardized version of the map, because it'd be hard to make it look perfect. But like you would see Verenia in one area, and then you see like the other zones whose names I don't know, them kind of represented in the different areas of this larger overall map. And we could take Ferenia kind of like from your idea, and that would be how the Ferenia section looks, whereas each other section has its own like little set piece.
I get you.
Yeah. Yeah. That sounds good to me.
Well, I think we're locked in. I have some work to do in terms of fixing it before it can be put on the wiki, as I usually do. But hey,
I'm just gonna straight up, yeah.
So you'll both get to me your notes. I'll work on it. I'll get it done. But as for the next episode of the podcast here, it's gonna be another Smash or Dash time, and this time we're going with the theme of royalty, kings, queens, princes, princesses, fun stuff like that. Twilix, get the hell off my show.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
Bye, one more time.
He logs out and he just walks through your door instead. All right, he could. All right, well, that was fun. We'll see you next time.
See you, everyone.